Hey guys, it's History Behind the Warrior, and welcome back to yet another God of War video. Today, after our pretty in-depth talk and exploration of timelines, I thought that today we could turn our sights back to not only the characters in this game, but the beasts that are instrumental to the end of the Nordic cycle. Fenrir, the giant wolf and eater of gods, and Hel, the goddess of death. Now, the main reason I'm bringing this particular question up is because in the first game, the world serpent, Jormungandr, plays both a visible and very prominent role in the game, being a physical indication of a previous existing timeline and playing a hand in Baldurs' defeat. But his appearance and existence does raise the question of where are his siblings? Where is Fenrir? And where is Hel? Well, in today's video, we're going to be doing a deep dive of the duo and explore where could they currently be in the present timeline. But before we do kick things off, as always everyone, I would super appreciate it if we could first get this video to about 500 likes. You guys have been killing it recently, so thank you very much for supporting the channel, and if you like what we do here and wish to see more, please don't forget to subscribe as well as tick that bell, as it is a great way to stay up to date with all of the God of War content we do have going on here. So, without any further ado, let's begin. Now, for us to kinda decipher the locations of both of these beasts, I will be pulling information from what we do see in the father-son trailer, but I will be mainly focusing on the Yotnar edition cloth map, as I believe it hides a multitude of different secrets beneath the surface, ones that do hint at the presence and location of both Hel and Fenrir. So first, let's touch on the father-son trailer and the knowledge shrouded beneath it. Now, a majority of it does heavily focus on the unified relationship between Kratos and Atreus. But if we slow down the trailer and hone in on who they are fighting, this is where things get very interesting. Of course, the first enemies we are introduced to are the Draugrs of Midgard, souls of the damned, confined to the world of the living. But the enemy type that grabs my attention is the Hellwalkers. The reason why is because Hellwalkers were a really important aspect of a side mission in the last game, the fate of the Valkyries, as their imprisonment to that of mortal forms prevented the afterlife from ever allowing the dead to pass on. Hence why Midgard overflows with both Draugr and Hellwalkers, as the frozen dead rise up from Helheim due to the realm overflowing. But of course, as we have seen, if you've at least completed that side quest, by defeating the 9 Valkyries and their queen Sigrun, the angelic warriors of death would then reclaim their responsibility and guide the dead to the worlds of Valhalla and Hell. But the father-son trailer does say otherwise. Now, presuming that there is some context to this trailer, and not just sprung together for promotional material, which it very well could be, here we see Kratos and Atreus surrounded by a group of Hellwalkers, and of course, the giant wolf Fenrir. So, it may hint at the idea that the Valkyries failed in their pursuit of cleansing the 9 realms. Or another idea here is that maybe Hel is attempting to grab their attention to draw them to Helheim, even going so far as to send Fenrir to guarantee the return to the land of the dead. Because if we do look at the cloth mat, we do see that the wolf is confined to the lands of Hell. With all of this said, let's change our perspective a little and turn our gaze to the Jotnar cloth map, which itself paints an entirely different picture of what I've seen. Meaning that yes, the father-son trailer could indeed be the promotional material I've talked about. Now, of all the crazy things that's kind of going on this map, it kind of sparks the question of where is Hel? Because we can clearly see the location of Jormungandr confined to the likes of Midgard, and as mentioned, when we look at Helheim, we do see Fenrir, although he's quite sneakily tucked away, possibly to hide his presence. But as we can see, the only other individual is the giant bird. So, to many, this actually did raise the question of whether or not this bird was actually Hel in disguise. Now, on paper, there's nothing I can say that will really disprove it, but if we do turn to its Norse texts, which this game is of course very loosely based off, as far as we know, the giant bird is indeed his own character, with Hel never actually disguising herself as Hreðsvöllur. So now we do ask, where else could she be, seeing as she's not on the Helheim map? Well, I believe this is where we turn our sights to the realm of Niflheim. Ever since the reveal of the Yotnar Map, Niflheim has been a huge point of interest for me, as its lands were ones where Odin and his ancestors sprung forth. Hell, the corpse of the giant's primordial cow does still remain there, but what really grabbed my attention was the door hidden away here, as it looks like it's being guarded by a giant figure. So how exactly does this giant's door line up with Norse mythology? Well, it kinda doesn't. From my own research, I was unable to learn the details of said door and the guardian protecting it, so this may in fact be something made in-game. And if so, I believe that both this door and the figure guarding it may have been created by Odin as a way to seal off the death goddess, which isn't entirely too out of character for Odin from both a game world standpoint and its Norse mythological counterpart. Because in legend, once Odin learns of Loki's offspring with Angrboda, he would incarcerate Hel to the realm of the dead, appointing her as its ruler for all of eternity. Of course, this does all change during the events of Ragnarok. But how does this tie to the realm of Niflheim? Well, whilst Hel is more commonly associated with that of Helheim, I mean, it's even in her name for God's sake, Helheim isn't actually the realm where the goddess of death was exiled, because when Odin cast her out, it would be to the lands of Niflheim, which is seen as one of the many lands of the dead in Norse mythology. I suppose what also supports this idea is the decaying corpse of the primordial cow, showing that both Elder God and even beings of creation are susceptible to death in these lands. So, if I were to put my money on what happened to Hel, I believe that she, much like her brother Fenrir, were cast out when the siblings fell through time during the climactic battle of Ragnarok in the previous established timeline. But what of Fenrir? Well, we know quite a bit more about the wolf than the goddess of death. Like after he was displaced from time, Fenrir would be captured by the Aesir, who would then go on to take his offspring, Skoll and Hati. With Odin's infatuation of Ragnarok, he seeks to control the two, as once the pair consume the sun and the moon, it is a sign that Ragnarok has begun. Now, previously, this is all that we knew about Fenrir and how he was imprisoned. But with that said, we did not know what became of the wolf after that point. And as we can finally see from the map, he's been tossed to the realm of Helheim, possibly in the hopes by Odin that he will die there, as time works in different ways in different realms. But what also intrigues me is the binding of Fenris. As we know, the wolf plays a huge part in Tyr losing his hand, having consumed it when he is bound to chains. But as we have seen in promotional material, Tyr still has his hand. So things are getting a little bit confusing and also quite interesting as we begin to hone back in on timelines and loops. Because if we go back to the father-son trailer, we also see that Fenrir has a shackle on his right front leg, meaning that the binding has already happened, but Tyr still retains his hand. So what does this mean? Well, it's an indication that the binding of Fenrir will be happening, but it will be going on much later on in the story, possibly hinting at the idea of Tyr betraying Kratos and Atreus. And even then, what's to say that it will be the same Fenrir that is bound? With the story enacting in a loop, that means that doppelgangers could possibly exist in this timeline. And it also does softly hint that we may see the death of Fenrir in this game, so another can exist for the following loop. God, time travel's tricky. But what do you think is going on here? Do you think hell is confined to the likes of Niflheim? Do you think Fenrir and his siblings will die for the loop to continue? Please do comment down below, as time travel is a very fun but also very confusing thing to keep a track of narratively. So I am interested to see how this all does pan out. But for now, everyone, this has been it for me. So as always, everyone, stay strong, stay well, and keep on fighting as Ragnarok comes for us all. Take care, everyone. I'll see you soon.